welcome to the ALTcast. I'm Katie Cusack, music editor. I'm here with David King.
Editor, stuff, whatever. I'm here.
Immediately right off the bat. And we're here with Adrian Lewis, whose stage name is The Age. He's a prominent neo-soul artist who plays as a singer-songwriter as well as with a full band. Just to start off, do you want to talk a little bit about your act and then also the full band act that you have?
Yeah, sure. Again, thank you guys for having me. So the whole Age thing kind of started right before I moved out to California. And it was kind of like an interesting period of my life because I was trying to figure out what kind of music I wanted to do. I had just finished an EP where I was doing kind of like trap soul music, but I didn't really feel like it was, where my heart was.
Right.
I kind of felt like I was doing it because that was like the wave. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I need to rebrand myself and step back and kind of decide, what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in California, I decided to take a month and just listen to only neo-soul music.
Interesting.
And it kind of changed my life and the way I look at music. And I was like, okay, so this is what I want to do. And so that kind of is what kind of kick-started The Age, really, for me.
What kind of acts were you listening to?
So it was crazy. I started listening to a lot of Erykah Badu. I started listening to Maxwell, Music Soul Child, and I discovered D'Angelo, and that really kind of like just put me over the edge.
Yeah.
It was a lot of that, and then some new stuff too, like Moonchild and Anderson .Paak as well. So those artists kind of really just awakened, that urge to just do soul music in me.
So you spent a pretty significant amount of time in California.
Yeah.
Was there a big neo-soul movement there that inspired you as well, or what was the live music scene like? Did you perform a lot there?
Yeah, so there was. It was interesting. I was hanging out with a lot of musicians, and especially like instrumentalists. Like a lot of these guys were like jazz cats.
Yeah.
And so so when you would hear them play with even like pop artists, you would hear them putting these kind of cool chords behind these pop songs, sneaking them in there. And so a lot of those cats could play neo-soul music. So when I would jam with them, we would just end up going into that kind of groovy, vibey stuff.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me excited to know that like there are like people who are really still into that. And I remember I had come from a party and I got invited to go to a show. I think it was in North Hollywood, and it was like this really small bar, and it was just like a bunch of artists who were just doing neo-soul music, and I was like, and it just sounded so cool.
Yeah. And
the musicians who were playing were just so talented, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And so I did do a little performing. I actually ended up being a guitarist in a band, in an R&B band. Nice. So I was doing more like instrumental work with people and then working in the studio, while at the same time trying to work on recording my own music.
Right.
At the same time. Yeah.
So what brought you back to New York?
So, California was a lot of fun, and I met some really cool people, but it didn't feel like home to me.
Right.
And I remember just being in places and kind of just feeling alone. And so I don't know, there's something about just New York that I think growing up here, maybe that's a big part of it, but there's an energy, just a different energy than is on the West Coast. And I think the West Coast energy is really cool, but for me personally, I feel like New York is my home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just going off of the recent show that you played in Troy, that was a really powerful room to be in. Obviously, there's a good amount of funk and soul acts.
Yeah.
How do you see that kind of community happening or maybe not happening in this area? What does it look like from a performer's perspective?
So it's really cool for me because before I moved out to California, I just didn't know that there was any soul music in this area at all.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware of it. So to come back and to actually discover that there are people who are actively pursuing that, that's super cool for me because growing up, I had a lot of friends who were like scene kids, And I mean, I appreciate that music. It's not
Yeah.
really the music I do.
Yeah.
But I have a love for like all kinds of different music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed that, and then like alternative and folk music. So that kind of has a presence that I've seen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, growing up. But I just didn't really know that soul music like existed in this area. So it's super cool to come back, to actually witness it and actually to be a part of it. So yeah, it was like playing with Front Business and Victory Soul Orchestra, and even meeting people like Girl Blue, who I don't know if she categorizes her music as soul music, but it has a lot of soul in it.
Oh, that power in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's really cool to be a part of a community of people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier, and you said you sort of grew up to the south of here in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
What's it like? I mean, you got that sort of perspective growing up out there and coming to Albany for school. What's it like to see Troy now, and the way that, I mean, Troy Kitchen, the different artists there, the sort of the cities come to life in a way obviously it wasn't when you were in school. What do you think about it? I mean, do you think there's room here for sort of an explosion? Do you think there's I mean, it seems to me there's sort of an artistic community building up there around some of those places that's sort of astonishing and really empowering.
Yeah, so I remember, and even when I was in 9th grade, I remember hearing like people like, don't really go to Troy. It's kind of sketch, That's what I heard. So I just never really showed up in Troy, but it was cool. Even right before I left, I actually lived in South Troy, had an apartment there, and just going down and being a part of like the community. There's like a lot of cool coffee shops and.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas Confectionery, loved going there, and it's been cool to like see a lot of these new places popping up, and just like a community of people that like are just are like really trying to move the culture forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool to just see like this this movement in Troy, and to kind of see that there's a lot of like cool stuff happening there.
There's so many artists that seem to be around everywhere.
Yeah.
Where did you end up meeting the members of your band that you have?
So yeah, it's funny. So first guy I met was probably Steven, who plays keys, and back when I was in the church, he was doing worship music, and I was doing worship music as well, and so we kind of met through that, and I didn't really think too much of it. And they actually started dating my sister. And so through that, like, that's kind of how we got really connected. And I was like, and he's such a talented piano player and a talented singer and songwriter. Absolutely. And so it's been a pleasure having him, be a part of that. He adds a really big part, he's like a really big piece of the live performance, because he knows a lot about harmony. And for me, I always wanted like to have guys in my group who could sing as well, because when you have one voice, it can be really cool, but when you have 3 voices, it just fills a different space.
Like an atmosphere.
Exactly.
That's what really came out. Just like watching your set the other night, it was like very atmospheric, especially.
I'm happy to hear that, because that's what we're really going for.
Yeah.
And then Brandon, we ran into each other at Guitar Center, and we became friends through that, and we ended up. We both lived in Troy together, and so we just became friends, just playing music. And then Jason Panucci, who is our bass player, I think he saw a video of us playing at Troy Kitchen.
Wow. And
he like hit me up on Facebook, man. He was like, I really want to be a part of what you guys are doing.
That's so cool.
And I never met him before, but I was like, hey man, we have a rehearsal this day, come through. And he like jammed with us. I was like, okay, this guy's good. And so we've actually been recording with him as well.
That's great.
Yeah, so as I've just been really blessed to just meet guys who like really care about the music and are just really talented and are just genuinely good people, So it's like, it's been dope to have those guys play with me. So
go ahead.
So you're recording. What's going on there, and where are you recording?
So Jason, he actually has a home studio.
Right.
And so we've been in there just trying to bust out an EP. Because the one thing I'll say is, every time we go out, people are like, okay, where can we get the music? And I'm just like, so like, we're kind of working on it right now. So yeah, we're trying to get that done within the next couple months. I'm hoping to have a single out by the end of this month.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So yeah, I'm really excited about it. The song is pretty groovy, and I just want to make sure it's perfect before I release it. But yeah, I'm really. It's a song that like nobody has ever heard before, because we were thinking about like just doing a song that people had heard and then just putting it out. But I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do something totally brand new, and release a visual with it as well. So,
oh, cool.
So yeah, but we're hoping to have a project done really soon.
Yeah.
So we can get it to everyone.
Have you already started working on the video for it?
We haven't yet.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out like where we want to shoot it. I have family who actually, is into videography.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we can try to set something up in Troy.
Oh, absolutely.
And I have a really cool concept for it, so I think it should be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
You have, I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but you do have a family history in music. How much of that inspired you to get to pursue this?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I probably wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for my father. And my father, he was the lead singer of a band called Atlantic Star.
Yep.
Back in the 80s and 90s, and because of that, I just always had music in my life. And him and my mother, they would travel and sing as kids, so we would travel around the country, went as far as Australia.
Wow.
And just it was cool being on the road and just seeing that. And as a kid, I never really thought that I would be doing music. It was just like a part of my life. But as I got older and started having an appreciation for it, my dad would kind of like show me different songs, and he kind of, when I first started playing guitar, he was the one who kind of showed me my first chords and stuff. And so he's definitely been a big influence in my life and a big inspiration in my life as well to want to pursue this.
So do you have a favorite guitar? Do you have a standby?
So I actually only have 2 guitars now. Like I stripped down before I went to California because I was like, I need the money. So
don't tell my wife.
Yeah, I'm hoping to add some guitars soon though. But I have a Tele, that's my main electric.
Nice.
I really want to get a Strat though. I'm really a Strat guy. And then
that's what I started on, which is not fair. You're not supposed to start on junk.
I mean, that's great though. I mean, I started playing blues, so a Strat, especially the tone on that thing is amazing. And then I have like a mini Martin guitar.
Oh, cool.
They're both great. They both sound great. And depending on the venue we're playing at, I'll break out like the mini Martin. But yeah, it's like those are like really my only 2 guitars right now. But I'm definitely hoping to add some more to the collection very soon.
So the recording, how much of it is? I mean, is it live band based? Are you doing a little more studio wizardry? I mean, what do you expect? Are you looking to convey the sound of the band live more than anything, or is it sort of coming up with something that's more than that?
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So what we did is we all got into the studio, we all kind of plugged in at the same time, and we're like, okay, let's just run these songs. And so when we started recording, we were like, the sound that we were getting as a full band sounded actually really cool. And so we have live keys. I'm playing guitar on everything. Jay's playing bass. And then Brandon's playing drums, and a lot of times what we will do is he'll play a part, and then we'll just like sample his actual parts, cool. And then we can just move stuff around,
Yeah.
But there's some songs, like we have a song that we're working on called All Right that is going to be mostly, I think it's going to be mostly, you'll hear a lot of Brandon's sound in there. And even, and Brandon did a lot of, even when we were doing programming drums, he was the one who was programming that.
Cool.
That dude is literally a genius producer. But
what does he use to program drums? Any specific programming?
So we're recording in Pro Tools,
Okay.
but him and we are Logic guys. We use Logic Pro, and so we were doing stuff on the machine, and then we're doing stuff at home just on like the drum pads that we have.
Cool.
So yeah, man.
There's this new they just released a boutique 808 drum machine. Sort of
really?
The real ones cost like ridiculous amounts of money, but now they have this sort of boutique one for like $300, and it looks like so much fun to play with. But
yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool too because there's just a different feel you can get, when you're doing live and then programmed drums.
Yeah.
So it's like we're trying to get a good mix of it. So yeah, but it sounded really cool. I was really inspired by Jay Dilla when I was out in California, because like I feel like I'm super late to so much good music, and so I kind of
There's too much of it.
It's true, there is
very overwhelming.
Yeah, so I kind of discovered his sound when I was out in Cali, and I was like, okay, it's like kind of that behind the beat feel.
Yep.
And so we've really been using that a lot in the studio, on live drums and programming stuff. So yeah,
Very cool.
Very exciting.
Do you have shows coming up? Do you have anything set?
we do. So we have a show on the 9th of February. We're gonna be playing at Savoy from 10 to
Right.
12. And that's really the only thing we have. I mean, we have some other stuff in the works, but we have to keep it low key for
Gotcha.
right now. But yeah, that's what we're really trying to get people out to. We're really trying to pack that place out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're gonna be like 2 hours of just soul music between
nice.
originals and covers. So
Cool.
That's really great.
yeah, man. So hoping people can come out.
Yeah. Have you been playing any like solo sets in a while, or are you mainly focused on playing with the band lately?
So it depends. Like I'll get asked to like play different events. Like I'm doing a event with Illuminate.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so I'm gonna be doing that by myself. But it just really depends on the venue and what people are asking for. So if
Right.
like for something like that, I'll just bring my acoustic guitar and just and the cool thing is I can play most of the songs just by myself. And then when the full band comes in, it just adds a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's great.
Not to put you on the spot, and we don't want to alienate anyone, but being that you did grow up here and you know about all the local venues, is there a venue of that you haven't played that you'd particularly like to play? Is there something that would say, oh, this is like, I'm here, this is me sort of taking over? Or...
Yeah, let's see. I mean, honestly, I wanted to play the Hollow since I was
That's a solid spot.
and since I was in middle school.
Wow.
And so I actually played that a couple months ago, and that was for me I was like, I did it. I did what I wanted to do. And there are like other places, like I would love to at some point play the Palace. I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out right now. We have a 4-piece, and
Right.
because of the type of music we do, there was something about. I remember, when I was in California and just like going to like jazz clubs and stuff. I kind of like playing in smaller venues.
Yeah.
There's an intimacy there that when you're in a big space, it's kind of sometimes hard to create, that same experience. And I feel like, if we add more people, we can definitely hit bigger venues, And I think at some point I would love to add more people, like a horn section, maybe another keyboard player. But for right now, especially with what we have, the Hollow was like I liked that size. I liked that size a lot. And I felt like I was able to engage with people and still connect with them. But we were able to still have like a pretty large size crowd,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yeah, most definitely.
To get that warmth in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Most definitely.
That's
Most
so
definitely.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
It was
thank
really
you guys
cool.
for having
Thank
me.
you.
And we hope to maybe some of your new music whenever it
Yeah.
hits. It'll be
Most
very cool.
definitely. I'll let you guys know
Thank you.
right when it comes out.
It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you so much.